We are finally here. The 2025 World Series, the Los Angeles Dodgers, as expected, are here. And the Toronto Blue Jays, more unexpected, are here. We are going to begin our World Series prediction right after a word from this video sponsor, Kalshi. Kalshi is the largest federally regulated prediction market in the U.S. where, unlike sports books, you trade against each other, not the house. You can legally trade on the outcome of baseball games, baseball futures, award winners, the Major League Baseball World Series champion. You can trade on all of those in all 50 states, even California, even in Texas. Kalshi's better than sports books, legal in all 50 states. Better odds, no limits, transparent pricing, and it even goes beyond sports, allowing you to wager on politics, pop culture, the economy, and more. If you want to give it a try, I put a link in the description for you to easily head over there and check it out for yourself. Kalshi gives $10 when you sign up with my code BALLCAP and trade $100. Again, link is down below. Use my code BALLCAP and get that $10 when you trade $100. We will take a look at the World Series champion market and the trade activity in just a couple of minutes. So we move on to the World Series, Dodgers and Blue Jays. And it's not just Dodgers and Blue Jays. It is Ohtani against Toronto. I mean, it's like it has been scripted all along that Shohei Ohtani, after the heavy pursuit by the Toronto Blue Jays, the whole airplane fiasco, the jokes still live on. Now Ohtani, his plane will finally land in Toronto, and it will be for the World Series with him in Dodger blue. We will also have one of the fascinating matchups that I see determining the outcome of this World Series is the Toronto Blue Jays bats and the LA Dodgers starting pitching. This is a Toronto Blue Jays group of hitters that are able to neutralize what is a starting pitcher or a pitcher's greatest strength, and that is the strikeout. Because the Toronto Blue Jays bats, of all of the teams that are out here, are striking out the least. 64 strikeouts and 388 at-bats. If you want to compare that to the Dodgers, for example. The Dodgers, in their hits at-bats, they have 93 strikeouts to 344. 64 for Toronto, 93 for the Dodgers. And the Blue Jays have more at-bats than LA. Also interesting to watch will be the battle of the bullpens. We have Hoffman, we have Sasaki, and others. We will dive into the bullpens here in a minute, but the Dodgers bullpen has been shaky this year in the postseason, up and down, a little bit better lately. Are Dodgers fans comfortable with the bullpen right now? I'm very curious. Blue Jay fans, Jeff Hoffman has looked good in the ALCS. How are we good? There's a lot of question marks. We also have Bo Bichette versus Rust. Has not played in this postseason. In the Champagne Championship celebration last night, asked and says he will be ready for the World Series. Bo had been hitting fourth pretty regularly for the Toronto Blue Jays. I would expect him to slot back into that spot, which bumps Kirk, Varsho, Ernie, and Addison Barger down. The bottom of the Jays lineup has been able to turn it over with runners on base for Springer and for Lucas. And Lucas is another player that is probably one of the more slept-on Blue Jay hitters here. Very good ball player, very difficult out, stacking hits right now. This Blue Jays lineup is problematic. Far more problematic than any lineup that the Dodgers have gone up against. The Phillies, they just didn't have it. Maybe it was rust over rest for them. The Reds did not have the lineup to compete. And the Brewers bats, I felt like there was some momentum coming out of that Cubs series for the Brewers hitters, But what really, in hindsight, the Cubs just, especially the starting pitching, the Cubs just did not have the pitching. And the Blue Jays just went up against a supremely talented pitching staff in the Seattle Mariners. So from a tested standpoint, the Blue Jays lineup's definitely there. But again, not to make this sound one-sided. The Dodgers here, with what they can do, Ohtani with the greatest game in the history of October baseball, maybe baseball period, with 6 innings, 3 home runs, leading the Dodgers to the World Series with his performance in Game 4 after sort of sleepwalking almost through the postseason up until that game. Mookie Betts, we're still waiting for Mookie Betts to get going. He was 2 for 15 in the NLCS, so there's more there. There's a level to unlock with Mookie Betts getting locked in. And Freddie had a homer in the NLCS, but outside of that home run, 3 for 15, so Freddie hasn't really locked in either. Will the Jays pitch to Ohtani at all? I think very rarely, Chaos. Very rarely, I think they will pitch to him. This Dodgers team has a new level to go because when we think about the bats, Ohtani, outside of Game 4, has been kind of sleepwalking. Mookie Betts in the LCS, just 2 hits. Freddie Freeman hit the home run, but outside of that home run, 3 hits. Will Smith was good. Tommy Edman, good. Kike, coming up clutch. If you get Ohtani locked in and doing it every game, Betts doing it every game, Freddie doing it every game on top of Will Smith and his production. Max Muncy had just 1 hit in the NLCS. He did draw a bunch of walks. Max Muncy's got another level he can go to. That almost worries me from a Blue Jay fan perspective. I love where my hitters are. They are locked in. It feels like the Dodgers lineup is a sleeping giant right now. And I don't have enough faith in the Blue Jays pitching to keep that sleeping giant tucked away and snoozing. So the Dodgers lineup has the capability to really touch off and go to a whole new level than we have seen in that we most recently saw against the Milwaukee Brewers. A lot to like here. I'm going to put some stars next to some players, guys that I think are going to have a major impact. I'm going to try to not have like a million stars. Again, like I said, I'm a Jays fan, but I ride with the Dodgers as well. So this is I'm gonna just give everybody flowers. I'm gonna try to not do that, but it's gonna be hard. I think that George Springer is going to be motivated and have a big series. Just those Astros 2017 guys, they seem to be supercharged by everything, all of the hate and everything that goes their way. George Springer on a bad knee, hitting a home run. He's had to fly in the face of adversity since the 2017 stuff. So I can see George Springer rising to the occasion. Nathan Lucas is going to do good things too.
Battle openers?
I hope not. No rap songs. No, let's. I like hip hop. I like rap, but I don't want to set up a situation like what happened with the Yankees with the whole Fat Joe thing. If the Dodgers want to do their thing, if the Dodgers want to have Kendrick Lamar go out there, or they want to roll out Ice Cube, do your thing. Toronto at all costs. I don't care. Resist. You got Springer. I think it's a big series. I think Nathan Lucas is going to do good things as well. I will say though, like if this Jays team is going to push the Dodgers and try to win this thing, you'll need to step up from Lucas. But I mean, it's got to be another big series from Vladimir Guerrero Jr. You're going to be looking for Bo Bichette, and I think these two will. I think these two are going to relish the fact that they are back together. Not for the DS, not for the championship series, but here in the World Series, finally getting back together in the lineup. That they come up through the organization together. This has been their goal, and they're finally there together. There is a level of focus right now with this group of hitters, and I think it's contagious. It's up and down the lineup. It's not just contagious. It is what is being implemented by the hitting instructor, David Popkins, who after the first 2 games against the Mariners told these guys to be more aggressive in the zone. And since that point, the Blue Jays have only lost 1 game. the Jays bats are going to be locked in. Vladdy, Bo, Springer. Obviously, Ernie Clement is going to be big in this series. I think that he's just seeing the ball. It's timing, it's seeing the ball, and he seems to have both going for him. Let's go to the Dodgers side. Obviously, Ohtani, you got a star next to Ohtani's name. I do not expect him to have similar results that he had against the Phillies and then in the first couple of games of the NLCS. I think Ohtani is going to be juiced for this series. I see a bounce back from Mookie Betts as well. Give me Mookie to lock it. I mean, this is the time. I think he will do it. I think Freddie as well. I could go up and down this lineup because both of these lineups, and this is what's going to be really fun to watch. These lineups all have star-worthy players, and that's why they're here, and that's why this could be an incredible World Series. And I have to think the bottom of the lineup for the Dodgers, it's almost set up to do it. I don't know if Pages is going to hit ninth in the World Series, but if he can get going, and I think he's got a turnaround coming. I'm a believer in his talent. I'm a believer in his skill set. Just 2 hits in the NLCS. There's a place for him to go. And if Edman and Kike and Pages are doing things in the bottom of the lineup, and of course, one last star, Teoscar Hernandez, going up against his old team. That's another one of the storylines that I missed. I probably should have had at the beginning. Teoscar against his old team. He's going to feel at home and comfortable no matter where the games are. So Teoscar is going to maybe have an advantage from that standpoint, that he knows the batter's eye and the dimensions better than any of these Dodger hitters, and it could present an opportunity for Teoscar to really have a breakout World Series. Let's continue. Pitching. Starting pitching is next up. Obviously, this is advantage Dodgers. We can put 4 stars on the board. Blake Snell with the 14th greatest start by game score in October. You had Yamamoto followed that up with a complete game. Tyler Glasnow was fantastic. Shohei Ohtani was fantastic. It's a 4-star rotation right now. It is fantastic. It is elite stuff. It is get you out in front and keep you there kind of pitching. The Toronto Blue Jays are going to have to do their best to answer. I think Kevin Gausman can, but we've seen Kevin Gausman against the Mariners. Again, a lineup that you can get to, that you can strike out. He's usually out of there at some point in the 5th inning, having to go to the bullpen, and a couple of runs are on him. The Dodgers can get to you better than the Mariners could get to you, so Gausman's going to have to step up. But really, I think the key here, again, if we're looking at how do the Blue Jays extend this thing and really get to them, Trey Savage has got to almost be, I hate to do this to you, Trey, but to continue the poise and the comfort that he looks to be in on the bump in October in these huge moments, we kind of need more. Because it'll be Gausman and Savage games 1 and 2. And Trey, we need it again. Because Trey Savage could be at a point where the Jays are trying to either even the series at 1 or, holy cow, grab both games in Toronto. There's got to be that Trey Savage start is going to be big. There's an opportunity for him to really catapult his star. Shane Bieber as well. Shane Bieber's got to be that dude, because when he takes the ball, we are looking for either an advantage in the series because maybe we're split at 1, or we're looking to stay alive like they were in Seattle in the ALCS down 0-2. Give me something, Shane. And he did it. I cannot put a whole lot on Max Scherzer's shoulders here. I'm not going to star him, but we know he's possible of going back into Mad Max mode. And if he can, that's huge. That start in the ALCS looms so large because the Jays were looking for that fourth starter. They were looking for innings. They didn't want to expose the bullpen. And what he did in the ALCS was so uplifting and really helped turn the series, because he takes the ball and the Jays are still down 2-1. And you're thinking maybe 1 or 2 innings would be good. There is history here with Max and the Dodgers. He once upon a time was a Dodger. So you have that going as well. I mean, look, the history of the storylines are nonstop. With Scherzer, once upon a time being a Dodger, Braden Fisher, one of the Jays relievers, coming over when the Blue Jays traded Kevin Biggio to L.A. Braden Fisher came back. Braden Fisher was one of the reliable relievers for the Blue Jays throughout the year. You have the Springer connection that goes back to 2017. On the Dodgers side, Teoscar Hernandez. You have 2 pitchers here that the Blue Jays are very familiar with, Blake Snell and Tyler Glasnow. Does that help them? Blake Snell in his career against the Blue Jays at Rogers Center, because that's where we're going to see Blake Snell pitch first in Toronto, has done rather well. 2.63 ERA at Rogers Center. So Blake Snell pitches well there. And Blake Snell faced the Blue Jays in the postseason back in, was it 2020? And shut them down. So Blake Snell has done it to the Blue Jays. Now, that was a different version of this team. There were different guys here at that time, different players at different tracks in their careers. So it's a different group than obviously 5 years ago, but he has the confidence that he can build on from that. So Blake Snell, Tyler Glasnow, 2 former Rays that they are familiar with, and obviously from all of the scouting they would have done in their pursuit of Ohtani and Yamamoto, and we haven't gotten to it yet, but Roki Sasaki. You think about how well that coaching staff, that scouting department should know Yamamoto and Ohtani and Sasaki because of how heavily aggressive they were pursuing them. Does that help them at all? I mean, that's just another storyline. The Japanese pitchers that the Blue Jays wanted really bad, they didn't get any of them. They're all in LA and they're all going up against them now. So that is another reason why I love this World Series, because of the storylines, the histories. It's just everywhere you look, there's some tie-in to the other team, it feels. Even Mookie Betts, his days in Boston, Jays know him well. So, gotta love it. You absolutely have to love it. Advantage Dodgers, heavy advantage Dodgers here. Let's go to the bullpens. We have a fascinating scenario here. Which bullpen do you feel better about? If you're a Dodger fan, is everything good now? Is everything good? Roki Sasaki closing games. He's looked nasty. Vesia last couple times out, getting the job done. Emmett Sheehan moving into that bullpen. That has worked out well. Anthony Bonda in the NLCS gave you a couple of scoreless outings. Maybe he's worked his way back into the circle of trust. Clayton Kershaw going to get some innings? I don't think we'll see Robleski. I don't think we'll see Dreyer. I know we're going to see Blake Trinan. Oh, we know that. Dave loves him some Blake Trinan. Regardless, that's going to be the Blake Trinan appearances. I'm also looking forward, as a Blue Jay fan, to seeing Blake Trinan. On the Jays side, here, let me put the stars up. We're going to just put them all. These are the guys who I think we will see play the biggest role in this World Series out of the pens. Hoffman and Dominguez. Yariel Rodriguez is not looking good right now. They may give him a chance to see if he's got it. But with Hoffman, with Dominguez, with Varland, with Fluharty, with Chris Bassett coming out of the bullpen and pitching effectively, Lauer, I think we'll see him as well. There are many options for John Schneider here. I don't know if there's as many for Dave Roberts. Now, that's not going to matter as much because he has a bunch of starting pitchers that he can rely on to get him to the 7th inning. I mean, maybe it's 2 outs in the 6th, but you have 4 starting pitchers that you can rely on to pitch deep, and they have good enough stuff to where you should feel confident that you don't have to go to the bullpen in the 4th inning because of how good and how nasty the starting pitchers' stuff is from game to game. So you've got You've got a bullpen that seems to be coming back together for the Dodgers. Roki Sasaki looking good. Vesia and Banda looking good in the NLCS. Blake Trinan is a mess. He gets the yellow star. That's not a gold star. That is a yellow star because I don't know. It just I know he's gonna be out there, but if I'm a Dodger fan, I don't want Blake Trinan out there. Maybe you do. Maybe you're coming around. You like some of the stuff you saw. I necessarily don't. I think the Brewers hitters were bailing him out in several instances in the NLCS, and the Blue Jays batters are not. The Blue Jay batters are not going to chase Blake Trinan's stuff out of the zone. And if they are, it's going to be a different. Somebody will have some imposters will be in the Blue Jays hitters' uniforms if they are chasing Blake Trinan's stuff out of the zone. Is there an advantage here? I don't know. Is there an advantage that maybe the Blue Jays can go a little bit deeper in the bullpen? I don't know. I mean, Louis Varland goes in there and gives up home runs. Sorry. Every time Louis Varland takes the ball, I feel like a home run is hit. I don't like that. Sir Anthony Dominguez, I think we have 6 or 7 appearances so far in the postseason. 2 times they've got to him. But in the other times, it's been pretty clean. Hoffman's been good, but he's also been bumpy this year. I don't know if there is any advantage here. I think this is a push. I think this is a straight up push. Bullpens are going to be fascinating. Last year, the Dodgers, one of the strengths was the bullpen, and it has not been that this year. And again, it was better in the NLCS. Will it continue? That is going to be interesting to watch. All right. Let's take a look at the situation that I talked about just a moment ago. Let's take a look on Kalshi here, because the markets, the trading that has been happening for Dodgers and the Blue Jays, you can see the disparity here. 69% of the trades are in favor of the Dodgers, 32% for the Toronto Blue Jays. You see at one point, we were all the way down. Look at how close that was at one point. During the regular season, back at the end of September, it was 17.5% for the Dodgers and 10% for the Toronto Blue Jays. And that 10% was the highest it had been all year, and that was back on September 18th. And the Dodgers were down at 16.9% at that point. But once we get into October, that Dodger number just sort of took right off. The Blue Jays took a hit as they were falling behind with Seattle, but I'm 32%. Is that high? Do you think, those of you that are with me live in the chat, do you believe that on $32 million in trading volume, that 32% for the Toronto Blue Jays is actually kind of high? I kind of think I don't know how we have 32% and 70%. If my math is right, which it's not the best math in the world, we're over 100% on that. I don't know how that works, but the Toronto Blue Jays, what I think is probably happening is the Jays are rising, and this is updated as the Jays are going up a couple points and the Dodgers are coming down a couple points. But this will be interesting to watch as we get closer to Friday. Does this change at all? Because what you're going to have happen is you're going to have there's more money to win on the Toronto Blue Jays. So is it an indication of users or people out there going for Toronto because that's where the greater payoff is? I don't know. That is kind of that. I think that's probably what's happening because it still seems like it is a long shot. It's going to be if you're putting money down, I feel like the safer money is on the Dodgers, but again, because it's a long shot, if it happens, better payout. Anyway, I'm rambling. Check out Kalshi. Again, I have a link down below. Use my promo code BALLCAP. We talked about it at the beginning of the live stream, but you trade $100 with my code BALLCAP, and it will give you $10 in addition to it. So make sure to check out Kalshi down below. Not just sports, but also pop culture, politics, the economy, everything. Basketball is about to start up. There's basketball futures as well. NFL is still in full swing, all of that. Go check out Kalshi. Again, the link is down below. So let's talk about this thing. How could the Blue Jays win the World Series? How can that happen? Well, here's the blueprint. This Toronto team is going to have to neutralize the starting pitching. They're going to have to do what they did to the Mariners starting pitching outside of Bryce Miller, who apparently is the only one who has the elixir here. But Kirby pitched well in Game 7. That's not fair to Kirby. Kirby was good in 7. Wilson maybe took him out a little too soon. So, yeah, but at the end of the day, the blueprint for the Jays to win the World Series, you have to neutralize the starters as best you can by limiting the unproductive outs. Those are the strikeouts. That makes the other team have to make a play. That moves runners along. That increases pitch counts. That can get starters who are locked in out sooner. Again, I said it earlier, the Toronto Blue Jays, 64 strikeouts in 388 at-bats. That is the best rate in this postseason. The Dodgers have 30 more strikeouts in 40 less at-bats. So the Toronto, not saying the Dodgers are striking out at an alarming rate, because I wouldn't. That's not what I would say. That is an indication just how little the Toronto Blue Jays are striking out by comparison. And when we think about the Dodgers pitching, that has been a strength. The starting pitching, 81 strikeouts for the starters in 64 in the third innings. That is a very high K rate. So if you are able to neutralize that, if you are able to take that equation out of the game, that gives the Blue Jays a chance. That is number one. Number two, the bats have to continue to do what they've been doing. You have got to continue to get to big-name, big-time playoff pitchers. They got to Max Fried. They got to Carlos Rodon. Not that Carlos Rodon's a big-time postseason pitcher, but big-name pitchers. Fried, Rodon, Gilbert, Kirby, Castillo. They got to those pitchers. Those pitchers have a pedigree, have a track record of being successful, did not phase this Blue Jay lineup at all. They have to take that mentality and bring it into the World Series, because they're going to see even better pitching, and they have to have the same ability to continue to work, continue to hit, continue to drive in runs. The valve cannot be turned off. I also feel, just from a formatting standpoint, the Jays have to get one of the first 2 games in Toronto. Absolutely have to. You're not going to be able to do to the Dodgers what you did to the Seattle Mariners and fall down 2-0. Not going to be possible. Not going to happen. Not going to happen here. So you have to get at least one of those games. Then when you go to LA, let's say the series is even at 1, you have to get one of those games in LA. And maybe that is in those first 2 games, you're able to neutralize Snell or Yamamoto. And then when you get to LA, maybe there's a game where you can jump on the bullpen, because when you go back to LA, you will likely see Glasnow, Ohtani, and Snell again. You're going to have to get to the bullpen in one of those games and get that win on the bullpen. So in first 2 games, neutralize Snell or Yamamoto. In those middle 3 games, grab a game on that bullpen. So you go back to Toronto and you are down 2-3. By any means necessary at that point, Game 6 and Game 7 have
Dodgers
to be
are
yours.
Stars. Blue Jays are complete team.
Thank you, Sean. I appreciate it. A lot of star power. I wouldn't say the Dodgers are not a complete team. I wouldn't go that far, but I know what you're saying. I get your point. Sean, thank you for the donation. So that's how the Blue Jays, I think, win the World Series. I'm not going to feel like they can go to LA and get multiple games. I think best case scenario, they can get 1. And if you can split one of the 2 games in Toronto to start the series, you have an advantage, because then all it is, guys, is winning 2 games in a row against the Dodgers, 2 games in a row against the Dodgers, games 6 and 7. How hard is that? How do the Dodgers win the World Series? The bullpen has got to be a asset and not a liability. You know the starting pitching is going to be a strength here. Don't as I just outlined, don't allow a bullpen disaster to cost you a game, because the Blue Jay bats are good enough to neutralize somebody along the way. It'll be Snell, it'll be Yamamoto, it'll be Glasnow, it'll be Ohtani. One of those guys they can neutralize and get to, at least. So if you're good, if in your mind you're thinking that we'll give them one of those, you also can't give them a bullpen implosion situation. So the bullpen has to remain steady, has to be a strength, not a liability. And the talent, if the talent shows up, if Ohtani is closer to what he was in Game 4 and less like he had been leading up to that, if Mookie Betts locks in, if Max Muncy starts collecting more hits, I know it's good that he draws walks and he gets on and he advances the line and it's the next guy up and it's advancing runners or starting a rally, because in October, every walk is a rally. I get that. But if Max Muncy starts collecting hits on top of that, there is, I talked about it when we were talking about with the Dodgers lineup, there is a lot of areas where they can level up. Mookie Betts can level up. Freddie Freeman can level up. Pages can level up. Muncy can level up. Teoscar can level up. And that's the worst case scenario if you are the Toronto Blue Jays, is that happens. Now, they don't all have to do that, because there is enough talent here where one or two of them can continue to kind of maybe struggle or go through the motions, or timing's off or whatever's off. That can still happen. There's enough talent throughout the rest of this team. So if the talent shows up, if the pen is steady, if they are able to look, here's maybe the big one. If you are able to turn this Blue Jay team into something they are not, if you are able to start accumulating those strikeouts, if we are through Game 1 and 3 innings are down and Blake Snell has 6 strikeouts, you are doing it. That will be a huge red flag for the Toronto Blue Jays if that is what is happening to start Game 1 of the World Series. So that's how I've got both teams as the possible World Series winners. What do I want to have happen? Who do I want to win the World Series? That should be clear. I want the Toronto Blue Jays to win the World Series. Can the Toronto Blue Jays win the World Series, though? I do believe, yes, the Toronto Blue Jays can win the World Series. I've just outlined it. I have outlined the ways. I have looked at it from both sides. I know the strengths and the faults of both sides. What if Ohtani hits the snooze again and only has one big game? What if Betts doesn't lock in? What if you keep walking Muncy, but you get Pages out and it kills a rally? What if the bullpen struggles? There is a road. So can the Blue Jays win the World Series? Yes. Who do I think wins the World Series? I think the Dodgers will win the World Series. That does not mean the Blue Jays cannot. I believe the Blue Jays can win the World Series, but I think the Dodgers will win the World Series. And it bums me out to say that. I want it to be the Blue Jays in the worst way, but there's also my analytical side that sort of just puts up a wall over the emotional side and says, dude, like, come on. So there's my prediction. There it is. Leave your comments down below on who you have winning this thing and in how many games. Share that with me and the rest of the community to check out. BALLCAP Nation, I salute you. Thank you for coming in and spending time with the channel. To the 100 Club, an extra salute to you guys. Those of you that make it to the end of the live streams, the end of the videos with regularity, you're doing an amazing thing to help promote this channel throughout the rest of YouTube, because your time spent watching is one of the biggest algorithm checks that YouTube is looking for as they decide what videos they are and are not going to promote. So making it to the end of these things does amazing things for the algorithm and amazing things for the growth of the channel. So I say it every time because it does mean a lot. I always take 5 to 10 seconds to recognize that portion of the community. I really do appreciate it, guys. Thank you. That's going to do it, guys. Make sure to smash that like on the way out. And remember, if it's low, let it go. And if it's high, let it fly. I'll catch you next time.